Just me. I know I clicked Thomas, but there he is. Hey, Tom, welcome in. So we're off to Sha Tin I'm not sure. The races are not tonight into tomorrow, but Saturday night into Sunday morning in our time, because last time I completely screwed it up. So I just want to make sure I'm right this time around.
You are right.
All right. Once in a while,
and most of the races we're doing are probably going to be on
Sunday after midnight Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure so that when I post it on horseracingtoday.net, that you can head over to that site. I just wanted to know when it had to be up by. When I get done here, I have a few things to do on my time. But nonetheless, it'll be over to horseracingtoday.net at some point. You get there. There's an HRT gear button. You click on that right there. You come over to our shop. 4 days left to get 20% off your red number 1 hat or your number 3 hat that's blue, or whatever it is you decide you look best in. You can customize it all over at horseracingtoday.net. Great way to support the show and all that kind of good stuff. Of course, next week, Tom, we can prelude a little bit. We're going to do the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oats, a little bit of a preview there on some of the international flavor, perhaps that will represent in Churchill, in Louisville, come next Friday and Saturday, but also some other big races next weekend too, right, that we'll be covering.
We will be talking about the Newmarket races, the Guineas Saturday and the Guineas on Sunday. One's for the Colts and the other one is for the fillies.
Double guineas. And when you get over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet today, there's always free picks, but our Guaranteed Smart Sheet Analytics
doesn't have England.
No, we don't. But we do have our Smart Sheets ready to come out. All the stuff that we talk about Monday through Thursday, getting ready to launch all that. So you can get Saturday's Churchill card. It'll be right there. Click on that. Absolutely gratis, as they say in some languages, Thomas. It's also gratis as our picks. So let's get started at Sha Tin. Well, before we do that, this is like the weekend where they're allowed foreign horses in, or one of the few, right?
Yes, this is one of the few weekend that they allow, and they attracted some pretty good horses. So somebody must think there's some decent money to be made there.
Indeed. Well, the first race we're going to do is race number 3. It's a Florida Insurance ICBC Asia Handicap. This one is on the turf course. It's going to go 1,400 meters. Let's take a look at the turf course over here. 1,400 meters. They're going to come around the track, go about this way. Tom, if there's anything I know at Sha Tin is usually you kind of want to be middle back. Is that usually the case?
I would say for me, that's been the norm that I've seen over more than a few years, including one visit to it.
And then the footing right now is good. I didn't see really much in the forecast to change that. What about you?
I would say good. It's going to be good.
So speaking of that early pace in race number 3, Thomas, no clear leader, it says, and maybe left the horses that like to go forward to share the lead. Riding together has been close up in most of his races, and from a low draw can get to the rail first. But you can see that there is a pretty good mix of horses that want to be in the front, the middle, and the back. Tom, I think that nobody really wants to go. That could mean the fractions might be a little bit on the slow side. Any post-positional advantages or stuff along those lines that you would be looking at?
Well, the outside obviously is not the most advantageous position to be in at this track. So you will have to, if you've got, and I've got my top choice is coming out of 11.
Well,
so
might as well get right to that.
You need to get going and clear and get yourself where you want to be.
And who do you think that will be?
Well, number 1 is the choice. He's got post position 11.
Super Express.
Yeah, remember our lovely.
Oh yes, draw.
Let's confuse ourselves.
That's all right. They all have ones in them anyway.
Draws. Yeah. I mean, Super Express. It's really hard to argue the results of his first start. I mean, he ran near the lead, and he was blocked at one point, and still found a way to win in his first career start. I will note that he had Ryan Moore up, so I think that probably helped. His post position this time is outside, which we talked about briefly, and he's got to do some racing there. Going to add some weight too, because he did win, and he's basically staying at the same level. Next one I'm going to take is number 5, Monarch County. Showed 2 good races and 2 starts. but then that was after doing absolutely nothing in 3 races. He's raced 5 times, and you can see the numbers there: 7, 14, 5, and then all of a sudden 3 and 1. Maybe he's figuring it out. He came from far back, which I suspect he'll be doing. And both races was interesting. It was a slow to good pace. So he's closing, even though the pace up front is not particularly robust. So I like that.
And from our preview, that's what he should get today.
After 3 races of nothing and 2 races of something, and a win last time, I think you got to think about the horse.
Yeah.
Now we will go to that 11 that you pointed out when we were doing non-post positions. Wind speed. Did nothing last time out. Ran mid-pack, an even effort. 3 races back, you see there's a second in there, and that was a pretty decent race, and he drew a better post position. Well, tonight he's got last time he was too wide. This time he's gotten in trouble and got himself in trouble in the last race. The race he finished second was probably a pretty clean trip, relatively speaking. Tonight he draws 6, and I think that'll help. And this is one I would watch the board on. The Hong Kong punters are putting some money down on this horse. You may have a live horse.
Yes, keep an eye on the sharps. Well, I agree with you. Super Express is the one to beat. Second race improvement should be enough, as you pointed out, Tom. The comment said blocked, followed by dashed. So that means the horse, even though it had to slow down and break stride, was able to turn it back on again. That's a pretty tough talent, especially in that first start. That indicates to me a horse that has got some heart. Zach Purton,
it probably helped to have the right rider aboard too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt.
He's won 1 or 2 races in his career.
A few more than I have. We're almost on the same level. Patch of Stars is next for me. Speaking of jockeys that are almost on that same level, I mean, the one in Hong Kong would be no other than Zach Purton. And the thing about this horse so far, you pointed out that one of your choices, Tom, seems to run in trouble. Well, this one's had 5 races, and every single one of them seemed to find his way into some sort of trouble. So maybe Zach Purton can steer him clear and then right into the winner's enclosure. Blazing Beam, the 7 horse, next on my roster. It's the 7 and the 7, so no confusion right there. I think this horse getting extra distance today should be to its use. Plenty of upside in this horse as well, because it's only making its 4th career start, so we may not have seen the best yet of Blazing Beam. And then finally, a little bit of a long shot, I think, because nobody knows what the odds are. I think Roman Crown is very likely to be a long shot horse in here. But when you go through the race card, if you go to Hong Kong Jockey Club, they have their race cards, their past performances. And in the bottom, they show you what the average winning time is for horses at this level, much like par speed figures here in the United States. Well, when you run through the numbers, Roman Crown's speeds, his final times at the 1,400 meter distance, they actually fit. So if he can fit at a big price, why not put him in there? Next up is the Forward Insurance BOCOM handicap. I think either that is BOCOM handicap. I'm going to go with BOCOM. What do you think?
No, I'll divert to you for that one because I don't know either.
Yeah, nor do I. 1,400 meters, we do know that, just like last time. They're going to pay attention to race number 3. See if the inside horses, the outside horses do better. Front runners, mid-pack, types that like to come from off the pace. And in race number 4, this time around, it looks like we have a little bit more forwardly placed field where most of your horses want to be middle forward. That should open the door to maybe a horse in this middle part here that has a little bit of late legs, the potential to close it out, Tom. Did you see the race going any other way than how I just described it?
No, I think you got it pretty much. And of course, these are slightly better horses. This is Class 2 company versus Class 4 company. So
with 2.8 million at stake.
These are the horses that are on the the edge of actually running in stakes or have run in stakes races.
Yeah, I think the next group up is actually Group 3 because the 105, 108 seems to be the last number before they move into stakes company.
Right.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All the things you got to learn when you go over to the international horse racing arena.
Yeah, and each jurisdiction is different in how they do it. So with
Who
that, I'm
wins
going
this one?
6. Invincible
6.
Shield is my top choice. His first start in Hong Kong was awful. He got stuck behind a really slow pace and ran like a slow pace, ran 11th. And then he won last 2 starts at 1,200 meters. He's won both. And the comment was a very strong score, which obviously this horse was showing a lot of stuff. And with that, but I look at his record, lifetime record before he came to Hong Kong. He had 10 starts and 6 wins. And those other 4 races, he did absolutely nothing. So yeah, it's win or nothing.
The all or nothing type.
I'll go with win. Number 1, Taj Dragon is going to be my next choice. Ran a little too wide last time out in his last race, but the thing is that he was trying at the end and he got a 3rd, and he looked pretty good doing that. Because before that, he was not showing a lot, and maybe he's starting to figure it out, get back in form. And I'll mention the negative when I get to the next horse, even though the jockey on this one is very good. Number 2, Divan No is going to be my final choice. He won his last start. He made a nice big surge at the end. In the race before, he ran 3rd, and he really just got caught late. That man, Zach, switches from Taj Dragon to ride this guy. That usually means something.
Ordinarily.
Yeah, and he didn't ride him before, so makes it even more curious.
I like the 7 horse. Midwinter Wind. Well, we're mid-spring here, and we're still getting midwinter winds in Chicago. I think this horse is going to be rallying, and if you look through its resume, brief resume, it says when the horse gets a little bit of rest, comes back to the track frisky, and could pop. Number 1, Taj Dragon, the one that you pointed out that Zach Purton's jumping off of, but maybe a bad choice by Mr. Purton. This guy loves the distance. 15 races, 6 times the winner's circle or enclosure, 3 times second, runner-up, in a 3rd. So I think if it's going to do anything in here, it's going to win with or without Mr. Purton. Markwin, the 10 horse. This one is the lowest rated horse in the field. How about that?
For good reason.
Well, this one's going to come from way off the pace, Thomas. Another one of those where I mapped out the times fit. And if he gets a little bit of pace up front, we saw the field. Most of it wants to be middle forward. I think he's got a shot maybe to get that done.
Well, and he gets 20 pounds from the top weighted horse. So that's fairly significant.
That's a lot. What do they say? 5 pounds, 1 length, something like that?
Yeah.
So you're talking about a 4-length advantage, at least when the race starts. We'll see if he can do it. And then finally, number 4, Young Champion. That's another horse in here, Tom, that's going to be coming off the lead at the end. When you read through its past performance comments, it's another one of those that seems to get its nose in the middle of trouble somewhere in the track. So if he can get his way around the track, the Sha Tin turf course, without a whole lot of problems, I think he's got a good chance at the end to find his way into, a contention. One of those horses that the announcer might get excited about late in the race. Halfway for you and me today, only 5 races. That's going to bring us to the Chairman's Sprint prize. This one is $22 million, Thomas. That's a few dollars. Is that Hong Kong dollars, I'd imagine?
Yeah, it is.
So that works out to be about 37 cents here in the United States based upon my past trifecta scores at Sha Tin. In any case, they're going to run in here at 1,200 meters.
Let's put it this way. It's still good money.
Yeah, 37 cents, better than 30. So here you're going to start here. That turn comes kind of quickly, Tom. Normally, we would say, let's take a look up for some horses that have some late speed, but that turn coming up a little bit quicker. Does some tactical early speed come into play here?
Yes, you do. I think you want to be more forwardly placed, especially against a top-notch bunch like this.
So you got Victor the winner. There you go.
Yeah, he's the speed in this race, without question.
So, yeah, it looks like Victor the winner and co-partner Prance. They're going to come across their wide draws and lead together. So Bell, what do they call that? A barbell front runners. And then, but everybody else kind of packed up right behind there too. So would it be at all shocking to see these horses put out some pretty good pace in there? One of these horses is considered perhaps one of the best horses for this sort of race in the world, Tom, and I got a feeling you're going to call its name right about now.
No.
Oh, you're upset.
Lucky Sweeznaeus. He used to be the Hong Kong turf champion, and he's beaten some really good horses in his career. He had a year off with an injury, and I thought coming back in this race was really interesting. They must think he's ready, because I think he could give the favorite a tough race, and he certainly in the past has proven that he's got the mustard to race at this level. So I'm going to give him a chance off the very long layoff. He's won first up before. Why not again?
Looks like that time off might have made him a little chunky, though. 1,208 pounds, a little bit of a big boy there.
Yeah, well, relatively speaking, yeah. But you have to look at the weights, what they've been. So I didn't do that, so I don't know.
Right, neither do I. I just saw that right there. It's a little fat now.
I'll have to take QEII Rising as my next choice. Kind of hard not to. 111 in a row. Set the track record at Sha Tin, and then broke his own record in the next race. Is he the best turf sprinter in the world? Kind of hard to argue not at this point. We'll see what he does tonight. I'm going to try to beat him, but it's going to be tough, especially at equal weights. And finally, I'm going to take two San Nonos Riva, and he lost to QEII Rising 2 starts back, ran third, and then he went back to Tokyo and won a Group 1 against some of the best Japanese sprinters there. He returns to try again. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. Because, as I said, he beat some of the really good ones, so the spring sprinters that are running, and that's usually a good indicator. So if QEII Rising is really that good, he should wipe this field out, but he won't win by a big margin.
Well, for QEII Rising, I think you go ahead. I'm sorry. I think you got to put QEII Rising first. The comment leads off with world's highest rated sprinter on an 11 race unbeaten streak. I'm not sure what I can add to that, Tom. I don't know what I can add to that. We see here Helios Express 2-2-2-2-2. Do you know who was in front of him in all those 2-2-2-2-2s, Thomas?
There's only one horse that could have been at this level.
Yes, and it's the one up here with all the 1-1-1-1-1-1-1. So he's beaten every horse he's faced except the world's highest rated sprinter on an 11 race unbeaten streak. So I guess this is the second best world rated sprinter on a 4 race second streak.
Really sucks.
Yeah, 13's not too good. I agree. I agree with you. The one coming off the break there, Lucky Sweeznaeus or whatever. And not only that, Tom, but he's taken some time off before and came back. First up record's been successful just a couple of times with a win and a second. So maybe shakes off a little rust, and instead of Helios Express finishing second, maybe he splits the two in there. And then I'm going to go with Beauty Waves as my final selection in here. And number 10, this one, Tom, and I was looking through it, reminded me of one of your horses. Has the sign of life last time out, showed some improvement. Horses raced 15 times, and usually against pretty sizable fields in there in terms of the number of entrants. And in those 15 times, never, ever, ever finished worse than 6th place. So that's a competitive horse, the kind you talk about, Tom, that always pays the bills.
It helps.
Yeah, well, it makes it a lot easier to maintain that barn if you got somebody who's actually putting some money into it instead of just coming straight out of the debit card or whatever. Now we're going to move off to some big ones as well here, right? This is the Champions Mile. So needless to say, they're going to go a mile. That turns out to be 1,600 meters on the course here. So 1,600 meters again. We're going to go back here. No, that was 1,400 meters. They're going to go into the chute here, come down and around. So they got plenty of time to get into position, Tom. I don't know that any particular running style would get an advantage out of that. But coming down the stretch and coming home, it does seem, again, it's one of those courses that tires the front runners a little bit. Should favor some horses that come off the pace again.
Yes. That would be it. That's this type of race, in my opinion.
And you see here, most of your field is middle forward, so it should give the advantage, just tactically speaking, to horses that sit off the pace or can get a comfortable pace in a good position to save ground and make up some space as they come for home. Tom, who's going to win when they hit the finish line in this $24 million Group 1 affair?
Number 2, Voyage Bubble, my top choice. He's done pretty well. One of his last 4 starts, 3 of them are Group 1s. He defeated, in one of those races, he defeated Soul Rush, who went on to beat Romantic Warrior in the Dubai Turf. So pretty good company there. When they it's interesting. They ship this horse out of Hong Kong and he fails. So I guess he likes the home cooking.
Indeed.
He's won 50% of his races at this distance, and he's been in the money in the other ones. He's good now with 4 in a row. It's going to be tough to see him lose 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take number 12, My Wish, is my next choice. This one appears to be improving with age. He started running at the Class 4 and Class 3 levels, and mixed results. I mean, it wasn't great, it wasn't awful. And then the last 3 races are the 4-year-old classic races in Hong Kong, and he won the 1600 meter one, and he finished second in the other 2 of those races. And the last ladder was the most interesting run, in my opinion. It's because he had the awful position of number 4 14 number post position, which sat 14th, and finished second.
That's a big run.
So he moved. I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say if 1600 is his best distance, or does he want it a little longer? I'm going to think he's going to like 1600 again and going to run a decent race.
He's awfully light, 992. They're under 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, that's it'll be interesting to see that. But he's starting to click, so can't complain, right?
Yeah, maybe that's why he stays in the back. Doesn't want to get bumped around early on.
Wait till the end.
Yes, indeed. No one can run him off the track.
Finally, I'm going to take 6 Galaxy Patch as my final choice. I just missed by a neck his last race, which was a Group 2. He lost to Straight Aaron. He ran the Gold Cup, and to say it was not great would be accurate. But at this longer distance, so they're bringing him back to a distance I think he's better at, and he's got that man up, and this is a horse that I think can hit the board.
I'm going to go with Geoman, number 11, all the way out here. There's horses for courses. We all know about that. And then there's horses for distance. Well, Geoman's run the distance 4 times. You know how many he's won, Thomas?
0.
4. Yeah, if he was over 4, he might make the top of my list anyway, because sometimes that gambler's fallacy comes in. He's over 4. He's due. Mr. Brightside, the killer's horse, coming in. This horse, in 8 of its last 9 races, finished either first or second. And I think it's a tell, too, when you're traveling all across the world, Thomas, and you bring your jockey with you. And I think that might be the only race he's running on the day. So
it is the only race he's riding.
So they're not here to play games. They're here to win.
No, and he's a very, very good horse. I'm just wondering if, he's shipped. He hasn't really shipped.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see. And, it's like the New Zealand horse. That's the next race. It's really hard to tell if they're going to like it, like Hong Kong, or not like it.
Yeah, that's the big part of the whole thing there. Number 2, Voyage Bubble. I know you mentioned that one there, Tom. That's my next choice. Voyage Bubble won 6 of its 11 Sha Tin mile runs on grass. And as you pointed out, it's got 4 1s in a row. I think, it could be some risk for regression there. And then finally, we also noticed that Zach Purton horse in there, Galaxy Patch. Last time out was the first time that Galaxy Patch and Zach Purton got together, and you noted duly that the horse just missed last time out. So maybe Zach might have picked up a few things to make up that neck in today's affair or Sunday morning's affair. Last race for you and I is the FWD. Is that Q2 Cup? Is that what that is? QE2
It's
Cup?
Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah, okay. I should have gotten that. All right. QE2 the second. There we go. These rich and famous people, they get these acronyms. So you and I don't get any, Tom. We should work on them ourselves. So perhaps someday we too can be rich and famous.
Next week.
Yeah, sports cars and cigars. That's our goal going forward. And then horse picks in the middle. This one's going to be on the turf course as well. They're going to go 2,000 meters. So they're going to go a long, long way. Start here, past the finish line the first time. Come all the way back around the track. 2 turns with a quick early turn right over there. So with that quick early turn, Thomas, I think, again, you better get some position early and not get stuck wide. Or if you do get stuck wide, you better move down to that rail pretty quick.
Or you should have a horse that wants to run a little in the clear and doesn't mind having to make up a few lengths. But I'd still rather be in a better position than having to, especially against a decent field like this one.
Yeah, you mentioned that New Zealander, looks like here, they think that horse is going to be the one that pulls the cart. As they get going, you pointed out you're not sure how well it's going to travel. I suspect that you mentioned it's somewhere in your picks. I just don't know which one. So which one are you going to start with?
I'm going to start with 3. Testeria. Japanese horse. He's been improving off his last 2 races. 2 back, he ran in the second to the Japan Cup winner, Duo Deuce. And he went off at 54-1 that day.
Good.
So nobody saw him coming that day. He shipped to Hong Kong for the Hong Kong Cup, and he got caught wide a little bit, made the lead, and then got caught at the end by Romantic Warrior and Liberty Island. Those are pretty good horses.
Indeed.
And, he likes to run forwardly placed. I like that. So don't be surprised. And, his record at this distance is 4 out of 5 in running in the money or winning. And so, they're bringing him here for a reason. And I think he's got a nice chance in here. He ran well enough last time out, and there's no Romantic Warrior in this race this time, which makes a bit of a difference.
A little for everybody else. They have hope. So you're saying there's a chance, like they said in Dumb and Dumber.
Yep. I'm going to take number 9, Cap Ferrat, my next choice. He's like My Wish at the 1600. He beat him last time out. And ironically, it was his maiden win, which is interesting. And it was at this distance. So he went off at 26-1. Those are big odds, relatively speaking. So he didn't do great in the first 2 classics, 4-year-old classics in Hong Kong, but he figured it out. And maybe this is his distance. I mean, he's got 3 runs at this distance. He won his last race. He's placed in second and ran 3rd in those other 2. But again, it's a maiden win. Hell of a maiden win, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Finally, I'm going to take number 11, Liberty Island. Last time out, she was in Dubai, and she raced 2 wide for most of the race and ran that kind of a race. It was just not great.
Mm-hmm.
She ran a decent race in Hong Kong, and that Hong Kong Cup against Romantic Warrior, and lost by a length and a half. This is a horse back. If you go back in her past performances, she finished second to Equinox. She's not dodging any lightweight horses, and really has not faced her own sex in a long time. So I think the outside post is a little bit of a concern, but then on the other hand, she's one that's going to be coming late. So get her into position and see what you got at the end.
Yeah, you pointed out, Tom, not backing down from anybody.
Mm-mm.
Placing well against, you pointed out, Romantic Warrior, Equinox, but also Rebel's Romance in that mix too, where the horse was competitive. I'm going to take a
Yeah,
crack.
that horse has also run a couple of races. Pretty good horses.
Yeah, a few. Those three right there. Yeah. If you had any one of those in your barn, you'd probably be thrilled to death as an owner or trainer. I'm going to take a crack with that New Zealander as well. Sometimes, maybe, I don't know, but I suspect that to get the top jock, Zach Purton, somebody had to tell him somewhere along the line, because I highly doubt that in a race like this that he didn't have some other options to ride. So if you're going into Foreign Invader and you're getting the top jock, I got a feeling there was a phone call or two in there somewhere along the line. In the gambling world or in the poker world, they call that, I think, a tell. I also like that Testeria, Tom, the 3-horse, held the lead, as you pointed out, late against Romantic Warrior. I would have really preferred, I was really hoping that they cut back in distance on this race, Tom, but it's the same. But still finished third. And I think if it can get the right fractions, could probably finish third again, maybe second. Last week, we did point out on that one horse that if it got out to the front, could improve with a little bit firmer footing. We'll see. And then I'm going to go with Goliath, the German Invader. Yeah, Europe's probably had enough of them, so I don't know what Hong Kong's going to think about that. But in any case, this horse went from Germany into the Royal Ascot. Won a grade 1 or group 1, excuse me, over there, which was on a good surface. No doubt that this horse, I think, Tom, prefers a little bit of softness in the track, but to go through a group 1 at Ascot against a pretty good company, I would suspect the talent is there, Tom. Just another one you're not quite sure how it's going to travel. But if it can rerun that Ascot win, I don't see why it can't win here.
Well, and it's got somebody who does know his way around tracks on board, so that probably helps a lot.
Yeah, I think, again, if you can attract some of the top jockeys, I mean, I don't know. I've never been in that business. I don't know how it works. I do know and have spent some time with a few jockeys agents and been backside at a couple of tracks, and you see some of the jockeying going on to get mounts on horses that look like they're ready to run. So I just from that limited experience, I have to believe, Tommy, you've been in that part of the business. If you got a horse that's ready to go and you feel like it as a trainer or an owner, I mean, you're going to be reaching out to the top jockeys directly, I would suspect, to give that horse its best chance to win, no?
In certain cases, I would agree. And in certain cases, sometimes you throw an apprentice on to get the weight off. That may make the difference in, an up-and-coming apprentice, and there have been a few of those. Our up-and-coming apprentice was at the infamous River Downs, which now is Belterra. And there was an apprentice by the name of Steve Cawthon who rode a horse I had a little piece of. And he was pretty good.
I haven't had any yet. I haven't even done my racehorse horse stuff yet. But one of these days, that's on the to-do list before all of the sand makes it from the top of the hourglass to the bottom. Again, get ready for the Kentucky Derby. That'll be up next week. Tom and I will cover all of the international invaders into Louisville for Kentucky Oaks Friday.
Well, and also the any of the other races that attract foreign runners.
Yeah, on Friday and Saturday for sure.
On Friday and Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna eventually get there. we
have to throw that in there. It's just not, the Derby's got, of course, the Japanese entry, and I don't think anything's coming from Dubai, so because the horse there was heading in a different direction, and Cox's horse didn't do much.
No. So we're going to download example tape this for Saturday, tomorrow at Churchill Downs. You can take a look at what our new guaranteed smart sheets look like, a description of all the data. There you go. You're going to get this. It's exclusive. You can't get it anywhere else. And it, I believe, help you for all you do-it-yourself handicappers that like a little bit of other people's thoughts. Take a look at that. I've found it's popped many a big winner. You just got to figure out which one it's going to be. Like always, that's the fun of handicapping. Sometime tomorrow, I will post all of Tom and I's thoughts right here on horseracingtoday.net. It'll be right in the middle of the screen. All you'll need to do is click on it. There will be a race replay, just like we have here. All of our comments, as well as timestamped in the description on YouTube, so that you can watch every single race at your leisure. And while you're there, hit that HRT gear button. Come on over to our shop, get yourself a hat, a T-shirt. A barbecue season might get started in the United States at some point, so you can get yourself that white apron, make it nice and dirty. Show everybody what a
or a nice snow coat.
Snow coat. Yeah, they should be on sale right now, right? More than 20% off. You might need it still in Chicago. And of course, if you haven't done it so far, please hit the subscribe button, the like button. You see all of our social sites streaming down there below. Our goal is to get to 10,000 on X and YouTube as quickly as possible, because both of those institutions then unlock extra tools to help accelerate your growth once you hit that milestone. All right, Tom, until next week when we get together again for the Derby and Oaks Prep, as well as, I forget already where we get to the other one. What's the other one for Ford and Friday next week?
Oh, we're going to do the Guineas.
Yes. The dual Guineas, indeed. So we'll do that at Newmarket.
Yeah, they run on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll have stuff for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on next Ford Friday. Should be good.
We will.
All right. Any other final thoughts from you, Tom, before we wrap it up?
Sha Tin card is good. And as you and I both know, the fields are generally full.
Yes, indeed they are.
And there's sometimes you can make more than hit your trifecta payoff.
Yeah, even if it's only a 1 to 1,000 exchange rate. Yeah, we're right on the cusp of some great races coming up, because we're going to go right from the Hong Kong races into the Kentucky Derby, then into the Triple Crown. Of course, you have the Saratoga meet that'll open up, the Del Mar meet. You have Royal Ascot. So whole lot of good stuff coming up. The best way to make sure you don't miss any of it is to hit that subscribe button.
And remember, the Belmont Stakes is at Saratoga again this year.
And it goes back to Belmont next year, right?
Yeah.
Indeed. So they'll finally get back. I'm getting emails like every other day for tickets to Belmont. I wish I'd get tickets every other day, offers for the Masters, so I can sell those. Right? Because I heard that the Sunday tickets were going for $12,000 each for the Masters last week. But man, or 2 weeks ago. It's unbelievable. All right, folks, that wraps it up for today. No matter what you're doing for the rest of this Foreign Friday, heading into this weekend as we get ready for the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks, the biggest weekend of racing here in the States. We hope you have God's grace, God's favor, and everything that you do at Sha Tin, or no matter where you are in the world, Tom, ends up in
the winner's enclosure.
Yes. See you next week for an action-packed show. Till then, have a blessed day.